Hello, everyone, and welcome to New York Empoleon's semi-final battle of the PBAL Season 6. We are here this week taking on absolute coach of the Seattle Dragonairs, and if you missed it last week, of course, I wouldn't be having this battle if I did not come out victorious, so hopefully you all saw that. You all know what happened. If you don't, there's a spoiler right there. We're in the playoffs, and it's basically win or go home here. We're in the Final Four, and one battle at a time, so absolute came out as the lower seed against Playmaker last week and managed to pick up a victory, the upset victory. Really don't want to get upset myself here, so let's try to make sure that doesn't happen. His team is Salazzle, Persian, Alolan Raichu, Salamence, Tapu Lele, Mamoswine, Decidueye, Vaporeon, Weezing, and Registeel. And once again, I say it all the time, but I'll say it one more time. I do not do these in the order they were drafted. I do them in speed tier order, so this is not the order that he drafted these Pokemon. I don't know why, but I feel the obligation to say that just because I don't want anyone getting confused or thinking my opponents are all crazy for drafting in this order. Now, first mon on my team is Swampert. Most likely my lead. That is not a guarantee. I have never in my life, except for one match, had a dedicated lead that could not be substituted out, depending on the matchup. But this is my probable lead most of the time. The reason is it almost guarantees getting Stealth Rock up. And his team has mediocre removal, not no removal. And the problem is Decidueye comes in on this basically for free and threatens it out and is able to defog immediately. But getting those rocks up, seeing the defog on the Decidueye, and getting this off on the right foot by getting 12.5% on most of his team, since he really doesn't have very many rock resists, is huge. And everything that he switches in, which my team forces switches and forces the play to be like a lot of give and take, really helps to have rocks in the field. Other than that, I ran a special set, partially because I'm running Rillaboom this week that we'll see later, but also partially because it does more damage to things like Iron Defense Registeel. It does more damage to things like the Weezing. So I figured, let's run the special set. Let's not worry about it. We are rocking out with the Rindo Berry, just to take a hit. Like in a pinch, surprise, take a hit, maybe be able to deal with something like the Lele going for an Energy Ball, be able to fire off an Earth Power on that, or the Decidueye, fire off an Ice Beam, get free 40% on that. I'm not that specially invested right now, mostly just take one hit if I can, be able to, again, more reliably get my Stealth Rocks up, because I think they're really important throughout this match. Next up is my Nihilego, and I really wanted Nihilego to run Stealth Rock this week so I could free up the move slot on the Swampert, but it wasn't as good at getting them up unless I had a Focus Sash and it was a lead, at which point I was basically just sacking the Nihilego on turn 1, which sucked. So I decided to run Toxic Spikes on it. They're not as good. He does have the Salazzle to take them away, as well as, you know, Registeel doesn't care. Weezing can take them away if it's neutralizing gas. Salamence doesn't care. So his biggest threats aren't touched by them, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be useful, potentially, depending on the rest of the matchup or how the match is particularly going, given a certain, you know, battle state. So I figured, let's have it. This thing baits in the Registeel. There's no lie. That's what comes in on it. Knockoff is there to just get rid of whatever item it is. Scout out. Is it Chesto Berry? Is it going to be leftovers? Get rid of it. Just don't want to deal with it for the rest of the battle. Registeel is a mon that my team requires a couple of like pieces in order to remove. So let's just make sure that we have all those pieces in order. And this baits it in. This will have to switch out. Swampert is a switch into the Registeel, as you saw before. So knockoff is just pretty free, and then Swampert can go for Earth Powers afterwards. And if I've already knocked off the Registeel and I know it's coming in, throw off a layer of Toxic Spikes. Why not? See how it works. Next up, we've got the Gardevoir. Gardevoir this week has a very good offensive matchup, but a very mediocre defensive matchup. It dies to basically all the physical attackers. The Registeel doesn't quite OHKO it, but can, depending on whether he's running Iron Head or Heavy Slam or what. The Mamoswine can destroy me with an Earthquake, although if he's choiced into Icicle Crash and I switch in on it, I get Thick Fat, and therefore I don't die to Icicle Crash, which is pretty nice. I have the Will-O-Wisp because this thing, again, also like the Nihilego, baits in the Registeel, and I just wanted to be able to fire off a Will-O-Wisp, maybe, you know, neutralize that thing. Mystical Fire is also really good because it can take care of all of his special attackers. I can take 2 Moonblasts from Timid Lele. Timid Scarf Lele will always 3-hit KO me with Moonblast, so I can always take 2 of those, and I can Scout out if he's modest and potentially react accordingly. And the Kasib Berry so that I can take a Shadow Ball as well on switch in, or a Shadow Sneak or Poltergeist from the Decidueye, which would be really nice to be able to do just one time, but hey, why not? And then my stabs are just good stabs. Psychic because he's got Psychic Terrain, and Moonblast because it's really spammable against his team. That's the Gardevoir set's fairly standard. This is where we're going to get a little bit more interesting. We have Flame Orb Switcheroo Obstagoon coming this week because what's his switch into knockoff, really? I mean, realistically, that is the most spammable move I've ever seen, and coming off of Guts boosted, like stab, Adamant Obstagoon, that's doing damage. Adamant also still managed to outspeed the Mamoswine, which is super nice. That's why I'm running a ton of speed Adamant. Low Kick can kill that even if I don't have the Facade, or even if I don't have the Flame Orb boost, and does a ton of damage to Registeel. Obviously, the Registeel threatens me out with the Body Press if I don't think I'm going to kill it straight up. But Knockoff can get rid of the Chopple on Switch-In, and Low Kick can kill it from there. Switcheroo is also really nice because, again, he doesn't really have a switch into this. And if I know I'm going to die anyway, being able to give something a Flame Orb, like a Rest Registeel or something, or Leftovers on Vaporeon, getting rid of that and giving it a Flame Orb, doesn't matter how many times you click Heal Bell, doesn't matter how many times you rest, as soon as you wake up, it's going to try to burn you again, and you're just going to be getting chipped down over and over. So if the Obstagoon has become obsolete, we have one last bailout option. Most of the time, this thing is just going to spam Knockoff. Facade is super spammable against anything that's slower than it. Knockoff into Facade kills a max def Weezing, and Low Kick is there for things that resist, like the Registeel and the Mamoswine, which both takes max power, so I didn't need close combat because those are both 120 base power Low Kicks. Next up, this set, I was told by my front office over and over, it's a bad set. It's a bad mon. It has a bad matchup. Look at all his switch-ins. Look at all his quad resists to grass. He's got Salazzle. He's got Salamence. He's got Decidueye. He's got Weezing. He's got Registeel. Look at all his grass resists. And I said, watch. So we've got a really interesting set here with a ton of special defense because it allows me to get 3 hit KO'd by Moonblast from Lele. It also switches in on the Lele, gets rid of the grass, the Psychic Terrain for Grassy Terrain. I'm not running any speed, so if I do end up in a lead situation against the Lele, Grassy Terrain stays up. I have Swords Dance for the fact that I think he will always preserve his Lele. Switch that out. I Swords Dance. Salamence comes in potentially. After a Swords Dance, I go for a knockoff. I'm expecting Moxie Salamence, although Intimidate is a possibility. But I Swords Dance anyway on the switch. Salamence comes in. I know if it's Intimidate or Moxie right away. And if it is Moxie, I knock off. If rocks are up, knockoff kills. If he's not Boots. If he is Boots, knockoff puts him in Grassy Glide range. So that's pretty nice. He can't kill me because I've got the Grassy Seed, so I'll be at +1 defense. So Dual Wing Beat isn't going to kill me. And if he's not Adamant, it's not even a 2-hit KO. And I can take basically any one hit with this spread. I can take a Sludge Wave or a Fire Blast, I think. At least a Sludge Wave from a Salazzle. I think I calc for Fire Blast as well. And Wheezing definitely can't kill me with a Sludge Wave or anything. So if it is neutralizing Gas Wheezing, high horsepower goes nuts. If it is, Registeel does not want to take a high horsepower. Knockoff is incredibly spammable, as I mentioned before, with the Obstagoon set. And Swords Dance is so free because I think he's going to try to preserve things that Grassy Glide can potentially OHKO. And that allows me to set up a free Swords Dance and then just go nuts. And this thing can sweep if I can bring it in when things are even just slightly chipped down. Even if the Lele removes terrain, the best thing about this is that Grassy Glide loses priority and therefore is clickable against Lele switching in because it loses the fact that it's priority. So it still hits the Lele on switch in. Doesn't get the boost, but still gets the switch in hit, which is super nice. And my last mon is a Scarf Dragapult with Sucker Punch because, I don't know. He's got the Decidueye, which has Shadow Sneak, so I wanted to be able to Sucker Punch that just in case. It doesn't do much. Dragon Darts is really good against his Salamence in case he's like Habanberry or something. And otherwise, Shadow Ball is super spammable. If Persian comes, then obviously I can't click Shadow Ball right away, but otherwise, not a whole lot of resisting to it, so we're just going to click it. And this gives me an answer to Scarf Lele. As a backup response to Scarf Lele, it gives me an answer to Scarf Mamo. That has been chipped by something else. And just clicking Shadow Ball does a lot of damage to everything. So it's pretty free. I liked this mon. I liked this set. Hopefully it goes well. You will all see tomorrow in that battle. Hopefully you all enjoy that battle. And it's a very good one because I am having a blast right now with this team. And win or lose, we're going to have a fun time. So I thank you all so much for watching. Take care, everybody.